My beloved child, pause for a heartbeat. Something sacred is unfolding in this very moment. You clicked on this for a reason. Not by accident. Not by chance. There is a quiet thread pulling you here, a whisper you almost ignored. And yet, here you are. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That subtle heaviness. That question that keeps circling your thoughts late at night. Why do I feel so lost? Why does everything feel uncertain? But what if I told you, this feeling is not a sign that you are failing? What if it is proof that you are being redirected? Stay a little longer, because this is where the truth begins to reveal itself. When you feel lost, it is often because your old map no longer fits the territory of who you are becoming. The paths you once walked so confidently now seem blurred. The goals that once excited you feel distant. Relationships shift. Dreams evolve. Even your own identity feels unfamiliar. And that disorientation? It is not abandonment. It is transition. Imagine a traveler leaving a familiar village at dawn. The fog is thick. The road ahead disappears into white silence. From the traveler's perspective, it feels like confusion. But from above, from a higher vantage point, the entire route is clear, precise, intentional. You are that traveler, and there is a higher perspective guiding your steps. You may not see the entire plan yet. You may not understand why certain doors closed or why certain conversations ended. But every redirection is alignment. Every delay is preparation. Every pause is protection. Let that sink in. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being recalibrated. Sometimes, feeling lost is simply your soul refusing to settle for a smaller version of your destiny. The discomfort you feel is the friction between who you were and who you are meant to become. And that friction? It is sacred. Before you go, hear this line carefully. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are in motion. Right now, even when it feels still. There is a quiet intelligence moving pieces you cannot see. Conversations are aligning. Opportunities are forming. Lessons are integrating beneath the surface of your awareness. And when the timing locks into place, you will look back at this season and realize. This was the turning point. The moment you thought you were lost was actually the moment you began being guided home. Home is not just a place. It is a state of alignment, a return to clarity, a reconnection with purpose. And the feeling that something bigger than circumstance is walking beside you. What if this uncertainty is not chaos, but choreography? What if the very confusion you are experiencing is clearing space for something far more precise? Wait with me here. Breathe. You are not off course. You are being positioned. And when you finally see the full picture, when the fog lifts and the path becomes visible, you will understand that every step, even the uncertain ones, was guided with intention. This is not the end of your direction. This is the beginning of your awakening. Stay ready, because something extraordinary is closer than you think. Something is shifting again. Lean in, because this is where the hidden pattern becomes visible. You've been asking for clarity, for a sign, for reassurance that you are not walking this road alone. And yet the answer has not come in loud thunder or dramatic spectacle. It has come in subtler ways, in timing, in intuition, in unexpected pauses. You might miss the turning point if you rush past this realization. The feeling of being lost is not random. It is a recalibration of direction. Think about it. Every major transformation in your life began with uncertainty. Before growth, there was confusion. Before expansion, there was silence. Before clarity, there was questioning. This is the sacred rhythm. What if the reason you feel unsettled is because your old identity has expired? The roles you carried, the expectations you tried to fulfill, the versions of yourself that were shaped by survival rather than vision. You are shedding, and shedding feels strange, but listen carefully, you are not being stripped away, you are being refined. The distractions that once consumed your attention are falling off. The noise that once dictated your decisions is fading. Even the relationships that no longer align are quietly rearranging themselves. This is not loss. It is alignment. Stay a little longer, because this next truth matters deeply. Guidance does not always look like comfort. Sometimes it looks like redirection. Sometimes it feels like delay. Sometimes it feels like standing in the middle of nowhere, waiting for instructions that haven't arrived yet. But what if the waiting is the instruction? What if this pause is teaching you how to trust without evidence? There is a higher orchestration at work, not forcing your path, not controlling your steps, but gently nudging you toward resonance, toward purpose, toward the version of your life that fits who you truly are becoming. And here is something most people never realize. When you feel lost, you are actually closer to truth than when you feel certain. Certainty often belongs to routine, but transformation belongs to uncertainty. Let that settle. You are not wandering in darkness. You are walking through a tunnel that leads somewhere intentional. Every doubt you face is sharpening your awareness. Every unanswered question is strengthening your discernment. You will understand everything at the end. The moments that feel disconnected right now will link together like pieces of a design. And when they do, you will see that nothing was wasted. Not the confusion, not the waiting, not even the silence. If this message resonates with you, if something inside you feels seen, take a quiet moment to share it with someone who might also need this reminder. Leave a comment about what you've been navigating lately, and subscribe if you feel called to keep walking this journey of clarity together. Not because you must, but because connection amplifies awareness. Now listen closely. You are not being guided back to who you were. You are being guided forward to who you are meant to be. And the path home? It is already unfolding beneath your feet. Stay attentive. The next revelation will change how you see everything. Close your eyes for just a second. Feel the quiet beneath the noise. There is a reason this message is finding you now. Not yesterday. Not months from now. Now. Because something inside you has reached a threshold. A point where confusion can no longer distract you from your deeper calling. You have been searching outward for direction, but the signal has always been inward. Let that settle gently. When you feel lost, it is often because you are standing at the edge of expansion. The old life feels too small, yet the new one has not fully appeared. You are between identities, between chapters, between definitions. This space feels empty, but it is not empty. It is fertile. Every seed of purpose germinates underground before it breaks the surface. From above, it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, roots are strengthening. Structures are forming. Alignment is locking into place. You are in that underground phase. And here is the revelation most never see. Being guided home does not mean returning to a place you recognize. It means returning to your original frequency, the truest version of you before doubt, before comparison, before fear of stepping beyond comfort. Home is clarity. Home is conviction. Home is remembering who you are when no one is watching. You might feel like you've taken wrong turns, like you've wasted time, like you should already be further ahead. But what if those wrong turns were data? What if every detour refined your discernment so you could recognize the path that actually belongs to you? Nothing was wasted. The conversations that ended, the opportunities that slipped away, the seasons of silence, they were not rejections, they were recalibrations, quiet course corrections steering you toward resonance. And here is the turning point you've been waiting for. You are not lost in life. You are lost in transition. There is a difference. Being lost in life implies absence of purpose. Being lost in transition means purpose is restructuring itself around a higher level of awareness. Feel the distinction. You are being guided home not through force, but through awareness, through subtle nudges, through intuitive pulls you can't logically explain, through moments where something inside whispers, "This way." Trust those whispers, because the louder the world becomes, the quieter true direction speaks. Before you move on, ask yourself this: what if the discomfort you feel is actually a sign that you are finally outgrowing limitations that once defined you? Growth does not announce itself politely. It stretches you. It unsettles you. It asks you to release familiar ground before showing you the next step. But the next step is already there. You don't need the entire staircase illuminated. You only need the next foothold. And when you take it, the following one reveals itself. That is how guidance works: progressive clarity. You will look back at this moment and realize this was not confusion. This was initiation. You were not abandoned in uncertainty. You were escorted into awakening. Stay open. Stay attentive. Stay willing. Because the version of you waiting on the other side of this transition is stronger, clearer, and more aligned than you can currently imagine. And when you finally arrive at that inner sense of home, that steady knowing, you will understand that you were guided every single step of the way. Right here, right now, something inside you is beginning to click. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a key turning in a lock you didn't even realize was there. This is the moment where doubt starts losing its grip. You've spent so much energy trying to figure it out, trying to calculate the perfect move, trying to decode every sign, every delay, every silence. But guidance was never meant to be overanalyzed. It was meant to be felt. You are not being asked to control the entire journey. You are being invited to participate in it. And here is the revelation that changes everything. The reason you felt lost was because you were trying to navigate using an outdated version of yourself. Old fears, old expectations, old definitions of success. But you are no longer that person. The confusion you felt was simply the collapse of an old identity. Stay with me here. When an old structure falls, it feels unstable. But instability is not failure. It is construction. Something more aligned is forming beneath the surface. And the reason it feels unfamiliar is because it is bigger than what you previously allowed yourself to hold. You are expanding beyond your former limits. That's why certain environments now feel restrictive. That's why certain conversations feel shallow. That's why your tolerance for misalignment has quietly decreased. You are not disconnected. You are discerning. And discernment is guidance in action. Before you move past this moment, understand this clearly. You are not meant to return to the life you've outgrown. You are being guided toward a life that matches your expanded awareness. Home is not backward. Home is forward. It is the place where your inner clarity and outer reality finally synchronize. You may not see the full manifestation yet, but the internal shift has already begun. And once the internal shift stabilizes, the external alignment accelerates. That is the hidden sequence. First awareness. Then alignment, then arrival. If this journey has spoken to you, if something inside feels seen, understood, or awakened, take a quiet second to share this message with someone who may also be navigating their own transition. Leave a comment about what resonated most, and subscribe if you want to continue walking this path of clarity together. Not out of pressure, but out of shared growth. Now listen carefully to this final truth. You were never lost. You were being led beyond what you could previously imagine. Every delay refined you. Every uncertainty strengthened you. Every silent season deepened you. And now, the fog is thinning. The direction may not be fully visible yet, but the feeling is shifting. There is a steadiness returning, a subtle confidence rising, a quiet knowing whispering, "Keep going." This is how guidance feels. Not loud, not forceful, but undeniable. You are closer to home than you realize, closer to alignment, closer to the version of your life that reflects your truest self. And when everything finally clicks into place, when the path becomes clear and the pieces connect, you will look back at this season and understand, you were never wandering. You were awakening. Keep moving. Keep trusting. Keep listening. You are being guided home. Take a slow breath with me, because this is where everything quietly converges. You've walked through uncertainty. You've questioned your direction. You've wrestled with the silence. And yet, you are still here. Still searching. Still open. That alone is proof of something extraordinary. Most people stop when clarity doesn't arrive instantly. Most retreat when the road feels undefined. But you kept going, even when you didn't know exactly where going would lead. That persistence, that inner pull that refused to let you give up. That is guidance. You thought you were holding on by your own strength, but what if something deeper was holding you? Stay a little longer, because this is the part where the truth becomes unmistakable. The reason you felt lost was not because you lacked direction. It was because you were being detached from illusions. Illusions of control. Illusions of permanence. Illusions that your worth depended on immediate results. And once those illusions begin to dissolve, you feel suspended, like you're floating between what was and what will be. But floating is not falling. Floating is trust in motion. You were being trained to navigate without constant reassurance, to move without needing every outcome confirmed, to believe in alignment before evidence appears. And now, something inside you is stabilizing. Notice it, that quiet confidence that wasn't there before, that subtle calm in situations that used to shake you. That intuitive clarity when you make decisions now. You are not who you were at the beginning of this season. You are sharper, more aware, more intentional. This is what being guided home looks like from the inside. It is not fireworks. It is integration. You begin to recognize what resonates and what doesn't. You stop forcing connections. You stop chasing validation. You start listening to your inner signal instead of external noise. And here is the revelation that seals everything together. Home was never a destination outside of you. It was alignment within you. When your thoughts, your intuition, and your actions begin to synchronize, that is arrival. You may still have unanswered questions. You may still face unknown chapters. But the difference now is that you trust yourself in the unknown. And that changes everything. Because once trust is anchored internally, no external fog can disorient you the same way again. Before you leave this message, let this final awareness settle deeply. You were not lost in darkness. You were navigating through expansion. You were not wandering without purpose. You were being refined for clarity. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared. And now, the path forward does not feel like panic. It feels like possibility. Keep listening to that quiet inner guidance. Keep honoring the subtle nudges. Keep choosing alignment over comfort. You are not chasing direction anymore. You are embodying it. And wherever you step next, you will not be stepping alone. Because the intelligence that guided you through confusion will continue guiding you through clarity. This is not the end of your journey. This is the moment you finally recognize that you were guided every step of the way. There is one more layer to uncover, and this might be the one that changes how you see everything. Up until now, you thought guidance meant being shown the road ahead. But real guidance is deeper than that. It doesn't just show you the road, it reshapes the traveler. You have been reshaped. Quietly, gradually, powerfully. Think about who you were before this season of feeling lost began. You reacted faster. You doubted quicker. You sought reassurance more often. You looked outward for confirmation. Now, you pause. You observe. You feel before you move. That is evolution. The reason you couldn't stay where you were is because your awareness outgrew it. And when awareness expands, old environments start to feel unfamiliar. Not because they changed, but because you did. This is why being guided home feels strange at first. Home is not the past. Home is the version of you that finally trusts your own inner compass. Let that truth land softly. The uncertainty you walked through was not meant to confuse you. It was meant to disconnect you from dependence on external direction. You were learning to hear your own internal guidance system, and now it's stronger. You may still have moments of doubt. That's human. But notice how doubt no longer dominates you the way it once did. It passes through. It doesn't define you. That is growth. You once believed clarity would come as a loud announcement, a dramatic revelation, a sudden breakthrough. But clarity came differently. It came as subtle confidence. It came as peace in small decisions. It came as the quiet realization that you no longer need to chase what doesn't align. You are not scrambling for direction anymore. You are selecting it. And here is the final shift you've been moving toward. You are not being guided to find your purpose. You are being guided to embody it. Purpose is not a single event waiting in the future. It is the quality of awareness you bring to each step. And now your awareness is sharper than ever. You recognize patterns faster. You sense misalignment sooner. You feel resonance more clearly. This is not coincidence. This is calibration. The version of you who once felt lost could not see the larger design. But the version of you listening right now? You can feel it forming. Even if you cannot yet articulate it, that feeling is your signal. Trust it, because guidance was never about removing uncertainty. It was about strengthening your discernment within uncertainty. And you have done exactly that. Now when doors close, you don't collapse, you redirect. When silence stretches, you don't panic, you reflect. When change appears, you don't resist, you evaluate. This is what coming home looks like. It looks like self-trust. It feels like internal steadiness. It sounds like a quiet voice inside saying, I am exactly where I need to be. You may not have every answer today, but you have something far more powerful, alignment. And alignment attracts clarity. So as you step forward from this moment, remember this. You were never wandering without direction. You were being upgraded in awareness. You were never abandoned in confusion. You were being prepared for precision. And now, the path does not need to shout. You can hear it whisper. Keep walking. Keep listening. You are not just being guided home anymore. You are becoming the home you were searching for. Lean closer for this final revelation, because this is where the circle completes itself. All this time, you believed you were searching for direction. But what if direction has been searching for you? Think about the moments that felt random, the conversations that seemed coincidental, the ideas that arrived out of nowhere, the sudden impulses to change something small in your routine. None of it was accidental. Guidance rarely announces itself with spectacle. It weaves itself into ordinary moments. And you, without realizing it, have been responding. Every time you chose growth over comfort, you aligned. Every time you walked away from what drained you, you aligned. Every time you listened to that quiet inner nudge instead of external pressure, you aligned. Alignment is not a grand event. It is a series of subtle decisions. Now look at yourself honestly. You are stronger than you were when this journey began. More centered. Less reactive. more intentional with your energy. You no longer chase what once consumed you. You no longer beg for clarity the way you once did, because you've tasted something deeper, inner stability. And here is the truth that seals this entire message. The feeling of being lost was never a sign that you were far from home. It was the signal that you were leaving what was not home. Let that sink in. You had to feel misaligned in order to recognize alignment. You had to experience uncertainty to develop discernment. You had to step into the fog so you could learn to trust your own sight. And now? The fog does not intimidate you the same way. You understand that not seeing the entire road does not mean the road isn't there. This is maturity of awareness. This is spiritual intelligence. This is coming home, not to a location, not to a specific outcome, but to yourself. You no longer need external validation to confirm your worth. You no longer need constant signs to reassure you. You feel the steadiness rising from within. That steadiness is your compass. And here is what makes this moment powerful. From this point forward, guidance will feel different. It will not feel like rescue. It will feel like partnership. You and the higher intelligence guiding you are no longer separate forces. You are cooperating. When intuition speaks, you respond. When alignment feels clear, you act. When something feels off, you pause. That is conscious navigation. And it began the moment you stopped fighting the feeling of being lost and started listening to it. So as you move beyond this message, carry this awareness with you. You were never broken. You were never forgotten. You were never off course. You were being initiated into deeper trust. And now, wherever life takes you next, whether into new opportunities, new relationships, or new levels of growth, you will not walk in confusion. You will walk in awareness. You will walk knowing that even when clarity isn't immediate, alignment is present. This is your proof. You are guided. You are supported. You are aligned. And most importantly, you are already home. Before we close this journey, pause here with me one last time, because this final layer is subtle, yet it changes everything. You came here feeling lost, but now, something inside you feels steadier. Not because every question was answered, not because every path is mapped out, but because you understand something deeper. You are not separate from the guidance you seek. For so long, you looked outward for signs, for confirmation, for someone to tell you that you were on the right track. And while encouragement matters, the real shift happened when you realized the signal was already inside you. Guidance is not an external force dragging you forward. It is an internal awakening pulling you upward. Think about it carefully. When you felt uneasy in certain situations, that was guidance. When you sensed it was time to let something go, that was guidance. When you felt drawn toward growth, even without guarantees, that was guidance. It has always been there. You just learned to recognize it. And here is the most empowering truth of all. The reason you felt lost was because you were outgrowing your old frequency. Growth always feels unfamiliar at first. Expansion always disrupts comfort. But disruption is not destruction, it is rearrangement. You were being rearranged for alignment. Notice how different you feel compared to when this message began. There is less panic, less heaviness, more awareness. A subtle sense that even if you don't know every step ahead, you trust the direction unfolding. That trust is power. And from this point forward, your journey will not be defined by confusion, it will be defined by conscious choice. You will still face unknowns. That is part of life. But now you understand something most never do. Being guided home is not about escaping uncertainty. It is about navigating uncertainty with inner clarity. You are no longer searching for yourself. You are embodying yourself. And when you embody who you truly are, when your decisions come from alignment instead of fear, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities feel synchronized. Conversations feel meaningful. Timing feels intentional. Not because the world changed overnight, but because you did. This is the awakening hidden inside the feeling of being lost. You were not wandering in darkness. You were calibrating your awareness. And now the calibration is complete. As you move forward from this moment, remember this: whenever doubt whispers, return to stillness. Whenever confusion rises, return to awareness. Whenever fear appears, return to trust. That is home. And home travels with you. You do not need to arrive somewhere else to feel aligned. You carry alignment within you now. You carry discernment. You carry clarity. You carry strength that was built through every uncertain step. This message did not find you by coincidence. It found you because you were ready to see that you were never truly lost. You were evolving. And evolution always feels like uncertainty before it feels like power. Now you know. Walk forward with steadiness. Choose with awareness. Trust with confidence. You are not waiting to be guided anymore. You are walking in guidance. And wherever you go next, you will not be searching for home. You will be expressing it. Just one more truth remains, and it is the quietest one of all. You began this journey feeling uncertain, perhaps even disconnected. But look at where you stand now. Not at the end of answers, but at the beginning of understanding. There is a difference. Understanding does not remove mystery. It transforms how you relate to it. You no longer see uncertainty as a threat. You see it as space. Space where new direction can emerge. Space where clarity can form. Space where your awareness can expand without pressure. That shift alone changes your entire path. Because when you stop resisting the unknown begins to reveal itself. Think back to the moments in your life that felt chaotic at first. How many of them later became turning points? How many of them redirected you toward something more aligned than what you originally planned? You may not have recognized it in the moment, but looking back, you can see the pattern. Guidance does not always feel like light. Sometimes it feels like disruption, but disruption is often the doorway to alignment. And now, you stand in a new position, not because everything around you is perfect, but because something inside you has settled. There is a steadiness in your awareness now. You understand that feeling lost was not a verdict. It was a transition. You understand that silence was not absence. It was preparation. You understand that uncertainty was not punishment. It was expansion. This is the awakening that transforms your journey from confusion into conscious navigation. You are not chasing direction anymore. You are walking with it. Notice how your energy feels different. Less rushed. Less desperate for immediate proof. More patient. More observant. More connected to your own internal rhythm. That rhythm is your alignment. And from here forward, life becomes less about forcing outcomes and more about recognizing opportunities that resonate. You will still make decisions. You will still take steps. But you will no longer do so from fear of being lost. You will do so from trust in being guided. That is the final shift. The intelligence guiding you was never separate from you. It was shaping you from within. And now that you can feel it, now that you recognize it, you move differently. You pause before reacting. You choose before committing. You listen before deciding. That is wisdom. And wisdom is home. So if you ever feel uncertainty again, and you will, because growth never truly stops, remember this moment. Remember that confusion once felt overwhelming, and now it feels manageable. Because you have changed. You are not wandering anymore. You are aware. And awareness transforms the entire journey. Carry this with you. You were never lost. You were being refined. You were never abandoned. You were being aligned. And every step ahead from this point will not be taken in fear, but in understanding. That is the power of being guided home. And now, you walk forward knowing it. This is the final moment, but not the final step. Take a slow breath and feel the difference between who you were at the beginning of this message and who you are right now. Something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. You started this journey wondering why you felt lost. Now you understand that feeling lost was never the problem, it was the invitation. An invitation to slow down. An invitation to outgrow what no longer fit. An invitation to remember who you are beneath noise, pressure, and expectation. And here is the truth that completes everything. You were never meant to be led like someone powerless. You were meant to awaken like someone powerful. Guidance did not come to control your path. It came to activate your awareness, to sharpen your discernment, to anchor your trust. And now, you stand in a new place internally. You may not have every external answer yet, but you have internal steadiness. And that steadiness is more valuable than immediate certainty. Because certainty fades, alignment remains. From this point forward, your journey changes. Not because life suddenly becomes effortless, but because you understand the rhythm. When confusion appears, you will not panic. When silence stretches, you will not assume abandonment. When doors close, you will not assume failure. You will pause. You will listen. You will adjust. That is conscious living. That is being guided home. Home is not a destination waiting somewhere in the distance. It is the alignment between who you are and how you move through the world. And now you know how to return to that alignment whenever you drift. Through awareness. Through trust. Through stillness. If this message met you exactly when you needed it, take a moment to reflect before moving on. Let the words settle. And if you feel called to continue exploring this path of clarity and purpose, subscribe so we can keep building this awareness together. Share this with someone who may be standing at the same crossroads you once stood at. Not because you have to, but because when clarity spreads, confusion loses its power. Remember this above all, you were never off course. You were recalibrating. You were not abandoned. You were awakening. And now, wherever your next step leads, whether into opportunity, change, growth, or quiet reflection, you will walk with a different energy. You will walk knowing that guidance is not something you chase. It is something you embody. The path ahead does not need to be fully visible. You are ready for it, because you are no longer searching for home. You are moving as it.